We are Mighty PULA.
I am Patrick.
I am MC.
I am Cathy.
And I am Mark.
And we are going to discuss the conic section ellipse.
The ellipse is the locus of a point which moves so that the sum of its distance from two fixed points called foci is constant and is equal to the length of the major axis. Now I will discuss the parts and the types of the ellipse. So the ellipse has two types. The first one is axis horizontal and axis vertical. The difference between the two is the major axis, which is the longest line connecting two endpoints of the ellipse. This is the major axis. The difference between the two is that the horizontal axis has the major axis on a horizontal position, and the vertical axis on a vertical position. Along the major axis, we have 2 points. The points where you add the distance between those 2 points to any point in the ellipse is always constant. These points are called focus or foci. Okay. Assuming that the center is the origin. The distance between the center to the end point of the major axis is A. The length of the major axis is 2A. The distance between the center to the end point of the minor axis is B. This part is B. And the length of the minor axis is 2B. We also have the directrix located outside the ellipse, which is an imaginary line. The distance between the directrix to the endpoint and the distance from the focus to the endpoint is equal. We also have what we call the eccentricity, which is the ratio of C with respect to A. The eccentricity of a conic section is a non-negative real number that uniquely characterizes its shape. Another property the ellipse has is the Pythagorean property. Let's call the distance between the origin to the focus C. If we connect these, we will form a right triangle. So the formula for this will be a squared equals b squared plus c squared.
In this conics, we have two forms of equation, the standard form and the general form. X squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1 is the standard form. While the general form is ax squared plus by squared plus cx plus dy plus e is equals 0. This is the general form. We use this equation if the center of the ellipse is in the origin. If the ellipse was not in the center, we use this equation. X squared minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared over b squared is equals to 1. If this is the equation, the ellipse falls under the horizontal axis. And if this is the equation, It is lie under vertical axis.
So our first problem is convert the equation 25x squared plus 9y squared equals to 125 to standard form. So this given is on general form. To convert this in standard form, we have to multiply the whole equation with 1 over 225 to make the equation, to make the 225 here 1. So x squared over 225 plus 9y over 225 equals, this then will cancel out. Then we will have to simplify the whole equation. Cancel. This would be x squared over 9. Then the other one here is y squared over 25 equals 1. So this is the standard form. So as we can see, the denominator on the y is greater than the denominator on the x. This means that the major axis is on the horizontal axis, which looks like this. Yeah. So that's how the ellipse looks like.
So now let's have another problem. As you can see, here we have a equation which is written in standard form. What we are going to do now is to translate this in general form. First, to translate this in general form, we have to find the least common denominator. So let's write copy x minus 1 squared over 4 plus y minus 1 squared divided by 2 is equals to 1. The least common denominator of this is 4. So we have to place 4 on both sides. So we will be able to multiply it. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. This will be cancelled out, so we have to copy x minus 1 squared. And this 4 divided by 2 cancel out. This will become 2 plus, all we have to do is to copy 2 and this y minus 1 squared is equals to 4 times 1 is equal to 4. Now after we find the denominator and we have to expand this. So x squared minus 2x plus 1, then plus, we have to copy 2 and then expand this, y squared minus 2y plus 1 is equals to 4. Then we will distribute this, so this will become 2y squared minus 4y plus 2, and that x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then we have to combine like terms, x squared minus plus 2y squared, then minus 2x, then minus 4y, and then let's add this. 1 plus 2, positive 3 is equals to 4. Now, we have to make this 0, so we have to transpose this here. So, this will become x squared plus 2y squared minus 2x minus 4y, and this will become positive 3 transpose this will become negative 4, so the answer is negative 1 is equals to 0. And that's it. This is the standard form, general form.
So for the next problem, we are given this equation. This is an equation of an ellipse in standard form. We are asked to find the coordinates of the center, the length of the major axis, the length of the minor axis, and the coordinates of the foci. So when the equation is in this form, obviously the center will be located at the origin, which is in 0, 0. Now for the length of the major axis, since the larger number lies under the x squared, the major axis will lie on the x-axis, which looks like this. Now, since a squared is equals to 49, a will be equal to 7. But the length of the major axis is equals to 2a, which is 14. Next is the length of the minor axis. So the b squared is equals to 16. B will be 4. So the length of the minor axis will be 8. So next for the coordinates of the foci. But first, let's draw what we have so far. B is this line, which is equals to 4. And let's say that this is the location of the foci. We have A already, which is 7. Now we're looking for this part right here. So using the Pythagorean properties, this will be C. The formula for this will be C squared is equals to A squared minus B squared. So that will be equivalent to C is equals to square root of 7 squared minus 8 squared. C therefore will be equals to square root of 49 minus 16. 49 minus 16 is 33. So that is the length of this part right here. So the coordinates of the foci will be negative square root of 33, 0, and positive square root of 33, 0.
So, our problem is find the equation given the following. Major vertical axis of 10 units, minor horizontal axis of 6 units, and a center of 3, -1. In finding the equation, we have to find the A and the B first. So, 2A, since vertical axis is greater than the horizontal, the ellipse would be vertical. 2A is 10, which equals A would be 5. Then 2B is 6, then b would be 3. So our equation for ellipse is x minus h squared over, since a is greater than b, which is on vertical, a would be on the y axis. A would be here, then b on the x. Now all we have to do is substitute the given following. X minus h is 3 squared over our b is 6 is 3 squared is 9 plus y minus our k is negative 1. Since it is negative 1, the sign would be positive 1 squared all over. The a is 5, so a squared is 25 equals 1. So here we got the equation. Next problem is find the equation with the given points. Negative 2, 2, 8, negative 2, 3, 4, and 3, 0. So to find the equation, first thing we have to do is to plot this on a graph to make it easier for us to find the a and the b. So the first is negative 2, 2, 8, then 2, 1, 2, should be here, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, here, and 3, 0, it would be here. So as we can see, the ellipse formed is horizontal, so which means that the major axis is, since this is negative 2 to 8, the major axis would be 10. So 2a is 10, then a would be 5. Then the minor axis is from 0 to 4, which means the minor axis is 4, then b would be 2. The next thing we have to do is find the center of the ellipse. To find the center, since the y coordinates of these two is 2, here 2, and here's 2, the y of the center would be 2. Then the x is, since the x of these coordinates are both 3, the x of the center is 3, then 2 there. Now we already have the a, the b, and the center. We now proceed to finding the equation. So the equation is x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. So since the h is 3, our a is, since the ellipse is horizontal, it lies on the x-axis, so this is the equation of it. The a is 5, then 5 squared is 25, plus y minus k, the k is the 2, so 2 squared over b squared, the b is 2, so 2 squared is 4, equals 1. So here we got our equation with the given points negative 2, 2, 8, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 0. So our next problem is find the equation of the ellipse with the given eccentricity and foci. The eccentricity given is 4 over 5 and the foci is 0, positive, negative 4. So E is equals to C over A, where E is eccentricity, C is the focal length, and A is the half major axis. So we have to substitute the given to this equation to find for the A, because we're looking for the equation of the ellipse. So given the foci, it says that the foci is on the positive and negative 4 on the y-axis. It would be here and here. This means that the ellipse formed is vertical, like that. So the C here is 4 and our E is 4 over 5 and A is unknown. So we have to substitute them. So to find A, it would be A equals C over E, where A is equals to 4 over E is 4 over 5. Or we could just put the 5 there to cancel this out. So 4 over 4 is 1. So A would be 5. Then A squared is 25. Now, to find the B squared, you have to follow this rule. So this is the ellipse. This is this C, or the focal length. This is the A and this is the B. This line is equal to this line. So as you can see, it portrays the Pythagorean theorem, where A squared is equals to B squared plus C squared. So as we can see, we have the B there. So to find B, it would be B squared is equals to A squared minus C squared. So let's continue up here. B squared is equals to A squared minus C squared. So our A squared is 25 and our C squared is, RC is 14, so C squared is equals to 16 minus 16. So B squared is equals to 9. So now we have our A squared 25 and our B squared 9. We can now proceed to the equation of ellipse. So the equation of ellipse is x minus h squared over A squared plus y minus k squared over B squared equals 1. This equation says that the A is on the x, where A is the greater number, lies on the x-axis, which means the ellipse is horizontal. But our ellipse is vertical, so the A squared would be here. Our equation would be x minus h squared over B squared plus y minus k over A squared equals 1. So this would be our equation to be used on our ellipse. So we substitute our given. X minus h. H is our x on the center. But since h is our ellipse is on the origin, our center would be 0. So it would be x squared over the b squared. B squared is 9 plus y squared over a squared is 25 equals to 1. So here is our equation. So our problem is to convert the equation 4x squared plus 9y squared minus 48x plus 72y plus 144 equals 0 to standard form, because basically this equation is on general form. So this is our equation. In converting this to standard form, first step we have to do is to transpose the term with no variable to the other side. It will be like this. X plus 7 Next step is to separate the x from the y's. For x squared minus 48x plus 9y squared plus 72. So this problem requires completing the square. So in completing the square, the coefficient of the x squared and y squared should be 1. So in doing that, we have to isolate the form. It will be like this. When you isolate the 4, you have to divide the 48 by 42. It will be 12x. Then when we complete the square, we have to divide the 12 by 2, then square it. It would be 36. Then on the 9, isolate the 9y squared. Then divide 72 by 9. It would be 8y. Then when we complete this, it is over 4. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Plus 16 equals negative 144. When we complete the square, we have to add what we add here to the other side too. So it would be 36 multiplied by 4. It would be 144. Then the other one, 16 multiplied by 9 is also 144. So that these two would be cancelled out. Next step is to make the number on the right side 1. Here, make this number 1. So to make this 1, we have to multiply the whole equation to 1 over 144. So when we do that, this equation would be 1. Then the equation on the left side would be 4 over 144 x squared minus 12x plus 36 plus 9 over 144 y squared plus 8y plus 16 equals 1. So we have to simplify this equation by simplifying this. 144 divided by 4 is 36. 36 x squared minus 12x plus 36 plus, then when we simplify that, it would be 16, the 16 here, then y squared plus 8y plus 16 equals to 1. And then to get it more standardized, we have to do this. X minus 6 squared over 36 plus y plus 4 squared over 16 equal to 1. So we still have to get the square root of these two because the equation is a squared and the other one is b squared. So when we get the a here, a would be 36, square root of 36 is 6, then b, square root of 16 is 4. We can see that the greater number is on the a, which is on the x. That means the ellipse is horizontal because the greater number lies on the x variable.